What's up, everybody? It's Red, coming at you live from the peak of recorded human history with another video. The videos keep getting better. Human history keeps getting better. What a time to be alive. I'm excited. You're excited. What are we talking about today? You already know. It's in the title of the video, Bitcoin. So with the Fed announcing some new inflation policies a couple weeks ago for the US dollar and the price of Bitcoin just totally tanking this week, Bitcoin has been fresh on my mind. On top of that, I checked one of my spreadsheets recently and I realized that I have been buying Bitcoin every single day since August of 2019. Today, we're in September 2020, which means that I've been buying Bitcoin every single day for a full year. A little more than a year, 13 months if you're really keeping score. So today we're gonna go over why I bought Bitcoin every single day for a full year, how I was able to buy Bitcoin every single day for a full year. Spoiler alert, I didn't sit down and click purchase on Bitcoin every single day. There was a little bit of a smarter method going on. And then how buying Bitcoin every single day has worked out for me. So that's all coming up in this video. Sit tight, grab a beverage, relax, and enjoy some of this soothing financial talk about the best performing asset of the last decade. Real quick before we get started, even though Bitcoin took a massive crash this week, I still think that it's going to the moon. And you know what else I think is going to the moon? The like button. So go down there, smash the like button, send it to the moon, and then we'll get started. All right, here we go. Why you do that? Why you do that? Why did I buy Bitcoin every single day for a whole year? That doesn't make any sense. Actually, it makes a lot of sense. And it's a very prudent investing strategy, one that you should be employing if you're not employing it. And it's called dollar cost averaging. Here's the definition from Investopedia. Dollar cost averaging, DCA, is an investment strategy in which an investor divides up the total amount to be invested across periodic purchases of a target asset in an effort to reduce the impact of volatility on the overall purchase. So, what does that mean? That's fancy investor talk. I don't understand that. You don't understand that. So let's break it down. Here's an example of what dollar cost averaging is trying to save you from. I had a friend who recently got into gold. He spent $5,000 on a single purchase of gold, a gold ETF. Gold has been going up and down a lot in this pandemic and recently broke its all-time high that was set nearly a decade ago. It can be a little risky to invest all your money in one purchase, especially after an asset has spiked just like the price of gold did, breaking its all-time high. This is what my friend did, unfortunately. He put all of his $5,000 into single purchase of gold, and over the next month, it actually went down about 5%. So he lost about $250 of his $5,000 investment. If instead he had broken his $5,000 investment into little chunks, maybe he buys $100 every day for 50 days, then he would have only had exposure to that really high point on one day, and then he'd lose 5% of his $100. But on the next day, when the price had fallen, he'd get in again at a lower price, and again at a lower price, and again at a lower price as it came down. And if it kept going up, he'd be able to average his way up, right? So he wouldn't get as big of gains as if he had invested it all right away and it went up, but it also hedges his risk from the price of gold falling. And this is what I did with Bitcoin. I bought a little bit every single day instead of buying one massive, huge $5,000 purchase like my friend did on one single day. And that's why dollar cost averaging is important. It's important because it allows you to better track the price fluctuations of any asset, gold, Bitcoin, stocks, ETFs, bonds, you name it, you should be able to dollar cost average into it. And that's basically what this definition is saying here. It divides up the total amount to be invested across periodic purchases. So instead of getting that one big $5,000 purchase, it would be maybe two $2,500 purchases, or even better, 100 smaller $50 purchases, right? That would get you to $5,000 over a longer period of time and give you more exposure to the general price movements of the asset. This way, each buy is less consequential and you can really hedge your risk, right? You're not gonna get taken down by one big downward price movement. So that takes care of why I bought it every day. But why did I buy Bitcoin every day? Why didn't I buy Apple stock, or why didn't I buy Tesla stock? They've done just as well or better than Bitcoin has. I'm really excited by Bitcoin because it's still in its early process as an asset. There are very few companies that even list it on its balance sheet. I think there's actually only one public company that lists Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and that happened recently. So as more and more institutions get in, Bitcoin will mature as an asset, and I think that we'll see a huge spike in how valuable it is. I see it as kind of like getting into gold before markets had the chance to become efficient. None of these big industry players are in there yet, and they're gonna make the market more efficient. And so You're trading off volatility and risk, which is definitely higher, but with that trade-off, you're getting lower prices than the price will be in the future. In my opinion, none of this is financial advice, this is just my opinion. However, Bitcoin is becoming less volatile every year. It's definitely gotten less volatile in the 4 years that I've been investing in it. And I think that shows that the asset is really maturing. With that being said, Bitcoin is still really volatile compared to some of these other more established assets like gold, like Apple stock, like Amazon, like Microsoft, some of these huge companies that are very not volatile. Bitcoin is still really volatile. I actually find that really attractive because I'm not going to need the money that I'm putting into Bitcoin for a long time or ever. And so it has a lot of time to become the asset that I believe that it will be able to become. If you have low time preference like me, I think that's really the case for Bitcoin. If you're going to retire next year, probably don't go put all your money in Bitcoin. That doesn't make a lot of sense because it could take a huge dump. Price goes down, you need the money to retire. That's a bad place to be. The other reason I'm really into Bitcoin is that I truly believe that it's going to be much larger in 40 years than it is today. And I think about myself as a 60-year-old and I think about my grandkids and they're like, Rhett, why didn't you invest in Bitcoin? It was so great. It's the biggest money system in the world. And I would just say I believed in it, but I didn't invest because I didn't have the convictions to put my money where my mouth was. And I think about having that regret, and I think that is really bad, and so I think it's important that you do what you believe in. I really believe in Bitcoin, so I'm going to come out here and support Bitcoin as often as I can and try to get other people into it. I'm definitely biased, so do your own research, but this is just my perspective. I'm really into technology, and I think a lot of my Bitcoin convictions come down to I want to live in a world where we have a better banking system. There's still so much that the legacy banking system can't do or does really poorly. Wire transfers are really expensive. They can be really slow if you send them at the end of the day on a Friday or at the end of the day period, right? They might not get there until the next day, which sometimes I think is, why are we dealing with that? This is a world where we live with computers, everything is instant. Why do I have to wait for a wire transfer to go through? Why isn't it digital? Why isn't it happening right away? I think these kind of problems are things that Bitcoin fixes. I actually saw a story recently about how banks won't write loans for people to take mortgages out on tiny homes because tiny homes are so inexpensive that with the bank's fixed costs just to make a loan, it's no longer even profitable for banks to be writing these loans out to people that want mortgages on tiny homes. I think mortgage on tiny homes, it might sound silly, but I think it's really important. People should be able to have homes, and if we have the technology to make really cheap tiny homes, people should be able to take mortgages out to finance their tiny homes just like they would a normal home. I think that's part of the future, and if banks can't get up on that, that's something Bitcoin could definitely do. And there are lending solutions that already exist in the crypto space that could deal with that problem. So many people in the world live in underbanked or completely unbanked communities, and that's not acceptable. We need to live in a world where everyone can be banked. And I think that this is what the dream, the promise of crypto is. And I think, that's another reason that I believe in Bitcoin. One of my huge beefs with the legacy financial system is this whole savings account nonsense. I have a high interest savings account that as of a few months ago now gives me 0.8%, 0.8, less than 1% APY of interest. Quick check, in the 1980s, the interest rate on savings accounts was more than 10%. So the savings rate has gone down more than 10x in the last 40 years. And I think that this is unacceptable. In my mind, if I'm giving my money that I worked for to these banks, I should be getting way more than 0.8%. And that's where a crypto solution that I absolutely love, BlockFi, comes into play. BlockFi has 3 products. The first is a lending solution that allows you to use your crypto as collateral on a loan. This is great so that you don't have to sell your crypto. If you want some liquid cash, you can just make a loan, collateralize your Bitcoin, and then you're good to go. The second one is an exchange. You can buy and sell crypto. And the third one is my favorite. It's basically a high interest savings account. They offer up to 8.6% APY on stablecoins like GUSD and USDC. I use both of those. Those are basically just cryptocurrency that track the price of the US dollar. So instead of holding dollars in my high interest savings account that's giving me 0.8%, I can earn 10 times as much in my high interest crypto account basically with BlockFi. It's giving me 8.6%. I've been using it for 5 months and I've gotten 5 times as much interest as I have in my traditional high interest savings account, with half the amount of money in BlockFi as I have in my traditional account. Products like BlockFi are what make me so bullish on Bitcoin and why I'll probably continue to buy Bitcoin every single day for the next year and many more years to come. At the end of the day, the internet and things built on the internet like Bitcoin have disrupted legacy businesses and things that existed pre-internet. And that's what I think that Bitcoin is going to do to the legacy banking system. I'm biased. I'm always going to bet on technology, and I have massive respect for Bitcoin's backstory. This pseudonymous guy just putting out this code to the world and letting it ride, basically. Whatever happens with it, happens with it. To me, it represents freedom, and that's why I'm going to back Bitcoin. So that's why I chose Bitcoin, and that's why I'm buying it every day. So how did I buy Bitcoin every day? Red, did you click a button to buy Bitcoin every day? No, that would take forever. Instead, I used the Coinbase Pro API. If you're not technical, API just means application programming interface, and it's something that's used in computer science to all the little functions that you can do on Coinbase Pro. Buy Bitcoin, sell Bitcoin, buy Ethereum, whatever, you can do with just lines of code. So I wrote something in Python that lets me buy Bitcoin every day, and then it updates my Google spreadsheets. And then I hosted that file on an Amazon cloud server that runs every day so that it will just buy Bitcoin, update the spreadsheet, buy Bitcoin, update the spreadsheet. I use Coinbase Pro because the fee structure seemed really reasonable to me. It's only 0.5%. So on my $20 trades, I'm only getting charged 10 cents in fees. Fees are really annoying, and generally I want to eliminate them as often as I can, but there doesn't really seem to be a way that I have found that's really easy to get Bitcoin without any fees, especially from an exchange. If you have seen a way to get Bitcoin with no fees, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. I think that there's a way to do it with this Strike Zap wallet situation that Jack Mallers has created. I haven't really checked that out too much, but there might be ways to do it. I think Coinbase Pro is the easiest way, so that's what I'm using now. So you bought Bitcoin every day for a year, Red. How did it go? I'll put a screenshot up here real quick with the results. I got about an 18% return. This is just from dollar cost averaging every single day, not from any bigger purchases of Bitcoin that I made throughout the year. I got about an 18% return with a break-even price of around 8,600, which I think is really good. Just from something that you're doing every single day, a machine is doing it for me. It's not something that I'm actively managing. And since the halvening in May, the price of Bitcoin has been well above 8,600. So positive vibes for the future, basically. I think with the Fed continuing to print money and committing to higher rates of inflation and keeping interest rates close to zero where they are now, I think that's basically the perfect macroeconomic backdrop for Bitcoin to make a huge price move like it typically does in the years after a halvening, where the supply of incoming Bitcoin is cut in half, which happened in May. I think this is basically the perfect macroeconomic backdrop, and so I think that this strategy is going to do even better next year. I will post an update video a year from now and let everyone know how it's going, but I absolutely intend on continuing to do this well into the future. So if you have any questions about the strategy that I presented here, anything about dollar cost averaging, anything about Bitcoin, or if you want to share your own strategy, or if you have any other miscellaneous questions or things that you want to see me cover, go ahead and leave that in the comments. And if you learned anything from this video, if it was helpful at all, go ahead and smash the like button so that other people can find it, and hopefully it will be just as helpful to them. And if you're looking for any more content on personal finance, technology, general success tips, all of that, it's going to be right here. I'm making more of it every single week. More content, more content, more content. Peak of recorded human history. Everything's getting better. Optimism, optimism, optimism. Love you all. Goodbye.